As you may have noticed, Daft Pina is a content creator I've talked about on this channel before. You may have also noticed I have a cut lip, so we're going to address it and move on, and I don't want to see any comments insulting me for it. The last time I talked about Daft Pina, it was because Daft Pina had found himself in a lot of controversy. Over the years, Daft Pina has had controversy after controversy, starting with the most notable, the Jaiden Animations controversy, where he made a video claiming that she was effectively lying about having bulimia. And most recently, he found himself in controversy after Just Stop, another content creator I know, made a video with assistance from Daft Pina that talked about LSMark's marriage and how his relationship with another public figure was toxic, problematic, or otherwise needed to be criticized. I'm not going to go over that too much in this video because I already talked about that for a whole last hour in the previous video about him, so if you really want to know the full context behind all of that, you should go watch that video, and also subscribe while you're there. I really appreciate the support. Just to check out my other social media while I'm making the point of supporting me. But anyway, Daft Pina made a new video recently, a video he titled A Personal Video, where he talks about some of the mistakes he's made in the past, how he's apologetic for some of the decisions he made, and it seems like he actually took some of my advice. So today I would like to give it a look, because while I think the way he's responded to this has been lackluster at best, I appreciate that he's actually taken the time to make a response. So with that being said, let's just get right into it. Well, that's what I would say, but first I've got to say something much more important. This video is sponsored by Aura. As a public figure, I take my privacy and safety seriously online. As such, I'm shocked every single time I find my personal information published online. I've discovered my own phone numbers, emails, and really anything else you can imagine leaked online, and I struggle to describe the anxiety I have seeing my own personal information online, as I like to remain relatively private. The reason behind this problem is simple. Data brokers and the like make a killing selling your personal information to spammers, robocallers, and other online threats who want to learn more of your personal information, from phone numbers to where you live. And that's where, in this video, today's sponsor Aura comes in to help. Aura can identify the pesky data brokers exposing your information and submit opt-out requests on your behalf. Brokers are legally required to remove your information if you ask them to, but they make it incredibly hard to do so. So instead, you should let Aura handle all of that for you. In fact, right now, you can get Aura for free for 2 weeks using my link on the screen. But Aura does so much more to protect you and your family from online threats that you can't see. With Aura's easy setup, you don't have to download several different apps to get the protection you need. One might think it would be a struggle to get parental controls, antiviruses, VPNs, password management software, identity theft insurance, and more. But with Aura, you get everything at one affordable price. Let Aura do the hard work of keeping you safe online so you can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. Only you have the choice to either let people continue to exploit and profit off of your private information, or you can go to aura.com/HarleyTBS to start your 2-week free trial. That's aura.com/HarleyTBS, also linked in the description down below. Thank you to Aura for sponsoring this video and making content like mine possible. And with that, let's get back to the subject at hand.
The following video is for context, not to justify anything I did, but to explain why those decisions were made and how my toxic mindset affected the people around me. A lot of what I'll go over have either hinted at, briefly talked about, or just vaguely acknowledged, so I think it's best that I talk about it in a singular video. Hello, I'm Daft Pina, or Ryan, and let's start with my ribcage surgery. Now, I did mention this first on Twitter when I had the surgery, the flight to VidCon, and after surgery, but I want to go a bit more in depth.
And this is the only point of this video I won't touch on, anything surrounding Daft Pina's medical history. I don't think it's my place to talk about his medical health, and I also don't think it'll do anything to benefit this video. As such, whenever that's mentioned, I'm just gonna move over it and get to the actual point of the video I want to respond to. So far though, I'd argue this is a pretty good start to the video. Not defending any of the decisions he made, just explaining why he made them, which you would hope would humanize him and make people more understanding of why he did what he did. This is actually one of the key pieces of advice I gave Daft when I spoke to him in our VC. I said that he should make a video responding to all of his past drama, so that people can understand, and so that when he quits commentary, he can continue on with a fresh slate, which I think is good. I did tell him he should have done this before responding to the Mark stuff, because otherwise it just piles onto the things people already dislike him for, and nobody's really going to side with him there, even if he was right, which I don't think he was, to clarify. Really, I think if he was going to respond to all the previous drama he's been in, he should have done it in one big video with the Mark stuff, so that you could get a full comprehensive response to all of his drama, I guess, instead of splitting it up between these two videos, with such a big gap between them. But regardless, later is better than never. At the end of the day, all of that advice only matters in the event that this video is actually a good response though. So, I might just be wasting my time by providing this criticism.
I think part of the reason why I talked about other channels was because I didn't have time for my own works, and wanted to shit on them because they had time, like I was projecting, or something along those lines. In 2017, I made How Jaiden Faked Her Face Reveal. It was a vile video made at my lowest, projecting my feelings of insecurity and pain onto Jaiden.
I don't really like this preamble before he goes into explaining why his Jaiden video is so bad. He starts the video by talking about some of his personal issues that are very close to him. He then continues to talk about how he made this video at his lowest, and that he was projecting his feelings of insecurity onto Jaiden. This establishes the idea that Daft really only made that video because he was struggling himself at the time, which, while maybe valid, doesn't make it a good response to criticism towards that video. To respond to criticism towards that video, you have to acknowledge wrongdoing within that video and show that you no longer hold those views or have changed since then. The problem is, Daft has never demonstrated either of those things. I'd argue that, as of this point in the video, I've never seen Daft truly acknowledge what was wrong with his Jaiden Animations video, and I'd argue that many of the faults within the video have been repeated in many of his other videos, like I said in my previous video and highlighted examples of.
I invalidated her trauma and what she was going through. It was never my place to talk about her mental health, and I truly regret not processing my own pain in a healthier way. Using her as a scapegoat for what I was experiencing was awful, and something no one should have gone through.
Once again, I really don't feel favorable towards this response. I appreciate his first two statements, that he's sorry for invalidating her trauma, and that it was never his place to make a video like this. But to then use it as a springboard to make himself almost into a victim in its own right doesn't really seem fair. I don't think Daft has learned from the mistakes he made back then, so I don't think it's fair for him to blame those mistakes or argue that they were only there or present because he was struggling himself. And coupling onto that, it's very hard for me to take Daft at his word with a lot of what he says here. Mainly because I know how disingenuous Daft has been in the past and how uncharitable he is to other people. I do not in any way want to invalidate any struggle Daft is or was going through in the past. I feel like he's totally valid to have his own feelings surround his own medical issues and his own personal struggles, and I would never take his right to have those feelings away from him. My criticism solely lies on how it doesn't feel fair to use those as the justification behind his mistakes, when those mistakes can still be seen in his content to this day.
I'd also made a separate video, a review of her channel. At the end, I said the drawing of her is bad, and you shouldn't do it. However, the way it's executed, everyone thought I was just reviewing her to humiliate her.
This is a fair response to some of the criticism people levied towards Daft for reviewing Jaiden Animations NSFW. I don't know if Daft's intent was to humiliate Jaiden Animations, though I do think it's very telling that he made this video after making a video saying that her eating disorder wasn't real. But I think choosing not to give himself a defense here was a good choice, though I still wish he addressed many of the other criticisms levied against that video. If you watch my video where I talked about this video Daft made, because I made one laughing at how kind of insane Daft's video was, you'll understand why this video was really bad and definitely has more problems with it than Daft is letting on about.
After more than a year, I took down these videos. While I had had many comments for and mostly against, I didn't have clarity until much time later. But I apologized and took them down. I was surprised that she even accepted the apology, which I never deserved, but I'm grateful for.
I feel like I don't really have any direct critique of anything he says here. I appreciate that he apologized to Jaiden Animations for his past videos, and while I feel like it's definitely concerning that it took him a whole year to remove those videos, the fact he did remove them is a net positive. Plus, it was years ago, so I'm not really gonna rehash that sort of thing. And I like that he's transparent about believing that Jaiden accepting his apology was more than he ever deserved. Because it definitely was. I do feel like this video has been long necessary for Daft to ever move on from the situation. If you make a video talking about someone in the way he did with his Jaiden Animations videos, you should have the balls to sit down and make a video apologizing for what you did instead of doing the apology over a tweet. And I think that him making this video, while it's really late to make the video, does enlighten people's perspective on why he did it and his guilt surrounding the video, which will benefit him long term.
A lot of my content back then was scathing, cold, and ruthless, with contradictions and double standards. The videos were more personal than the standard coverage, and I had really high expectations and the I wouldn't have done this sort of thing. Some of these would include the videos I made about the Odd Out's products. I was just some guy out here with a microphone and camera while he was actually out there making stuff. I was way too harsh on him and his team. I'd also gone too far into his personal life, both his former experience with his high school friend, as well as his then girlfriend, and is never my place to cover.
I really do value a whole lot of what is said here. Daft actually is going through some of his controversies, talking about what led him to make the decisions he made, giving people that broadened perspective on why you did something, and what you were thinking about them at the time, expands upon how people view you, and as such, gives more humanity to the decisions you've made. Though once again, my biggest criticism here lies with how vague he is with acknowledging the actual problems and mistakes he made. His mistakes didn't start and end at him being slightly invasive, and the mistakes he did make were much bigger than that. And the fact he doesn't directly acknowledge them seems like a vain attempt to hope that people will just leave it at that and kind of let him get to walk away without ever actually addressing the bigger issues. I don't want to harp too hard on the whole idea of Daft needing to acknowledge more than he actually acknowledges here, because that would be dreadfully annoying to listen to, but I think the point I'm trying to make is clear. There is several hours worth of content surrounding Daft's videos, especially his videos on the Odd Ones Out, that expands upon a heap of points Daft actually needs to address, like sections of some of his videos that he removed in their entirety because he was called out for what was said within them, or for a mistake he made within them, even though he's never discussed that mistake, with him seemingly just hoping that people will forget he made that mistake or not even notice that part of the video was removed in the first place, without him ever actually having to own up to it.
Also, for another creator, Choi Panda, I did tell her to stop drawing, but no one should stop their art journey, even if it takes a bit to improve, or not. Art is not a competition, it's whatever you want out of it. Since then, the video had been taken down, and I was able to apologize to her face to face. I had also made up with Tim Tom, even watching the video I made about him at VidCon 2019 with him. Very nice fella. Though I should clarify that not all my terrible videos were caused by my serious pain, but rather it was a catalyst that pushed me further down to negativity. It was not a healthy way of processing my feelings. I would also make unnecessary personal digs at people that didn't help my videos, but only my ego. This would cause otherwise normal videos to be tainted by my need to add stuff that didn't need to be there. For a lot of my videos, I was very insensitive. I hadn't thought about my demeanor or how things can be looked at from an outside perspective. But with these drama videos, it was not a healthy thing to go through. It did change how I spoke and interacted with other people. Either how some would be afraid to talk with me, or the idea that I cannot fully trust someone, because of my experience in the field, there are a lot of terrible people, including me in a lot of this.
I just struggle to understand why Daft has brought up so many examples of things he's done wrong in the past, but refuses to go in depth on what it was he actually did, only touching on the surface level of why people were mad at him. I'm just disappointed because I really wanted a lot more from him here, and I think making a video like this gave him the opportunity to be more transparent and clear up pretty much all of his controversies all at once. I suppose a lot of my criticism towards Daft doesn't really matter anymore, considering he's no longer going to be making commentary videos anyway, but I hope that at least what I'm saying in this video does ring true with Daft and hopefully inspire him to make more changes for the sake of actually doing better when he makes an apology like this in the future. I don't hold anything against Daft, nor do I have any personal grudge against him. I told him as much when we had a call together. I'm just disappointed with how he seems to always handle controversy. From blocking me when I made a video talking about him after we'd already scheduled some sort of interview so that he could actually respond to criticism, his vain attempt to get me to not actually go through with making my video until at least he got to make his video about the whole situation, even though I told him, based on what he told me in the call, that nothing he said was actually going to change what I said in my video, and it ended up not impacting anything I said in the video anyway. And I just feel like he held on to the bitter end trying to get a dunk on someone, or rather anyone, until he finally admitted that maybe he was the problem and that all of these mistakes that have continued to pile up are reflective and indicative of a bigger issue.
I'd gone to therapy, and they tried to help me focus on what was causing my anxieties and sadness. It was my channel, or at the very least, the content that I used to make. Building an audience on negativity, I pursued that, engulfed myself in this behavior. It was a repeated pattern behavior. There's also mixed with the fact that someone I'd known for years turned out to be making fun of me behind the scenes, sharing and leaking things at the expense of me, both DMs and the project I was working on. When this happened, I saw a lot of people say this is normal, and that I was weird for disliking the fact they've been doing this for years, further pointing out that since I'm clearly manipulative, I always get what is deserved to me.
I think it's a great shame that Daft once again falls into the same mistakes he's made in the past, of standing by decisions that he's been publicly called out for until the last possible moment, dying on the hill for as long as he possibly could. He did the exact same thing when it came to the Tina video, only taking it down and acknowledging any kind of fault recently when he came to the realization that people were going to hold that criticism against him. Same with any other controversy Daft has found himself in. And now once again he's dying on the LSMark situation hill and continuing to stand by the things he said and the things he did, not even in this video acknowledging any wrongdoing in that situation at all. It's disappointing, but I mean, considering he also doesn't bring up the Tina situation and criticisms levied against him that he didn't address in his previous video here as well, it doesn't seem like Daft intends to actually acknowledge a lot of the controversy he's found himself in, only going for the ones that people most remember him for. Where he had an opportunity to acknowledge wrongdoing, move on from the LSMark situation, and hopefully win people back over to his side in some capacity, I suppose he just chose not to, which is genuinely saddening.
Over time, some of the criticism about me started to blur into stalking. One person even made a 300-ish page document about how bad I am. The document was riddled with many ramblings of other creators, and I hope that person is doing okay. People would make videos on me for the things I've said and done, or try to interview me, though I mainly kept to myself, which led to a lot of people saying I was not wanting accountability. Despite that, I'm glad people made videos. Making these drama videos wasn't good on my mind, as waking up to get emails about awful people, or people calling me awful for talking about things, was something I want to get out of. Though realizing what may have caused a lot of my worst behaviors or videos doesn't excuse me from making them, or even the things I said. Even at my lowest, I chose to post and do these things. I'm thankful for the people who stuck around me during this. While I'm thankful to help victims with respective traumas and help bring the stories to light, I'm not the best person to make these videos anymore. I've seen many people dismiss what I've created because of my reputation, causing the victims to not be believed or simply not heard. I wish them the best with their recovery. I disappointed many people with the old content I made, and I regret making it, even if on some occasions I did help some people. I'm glad to not be making drama videos and just creating things I really like to talk about and free myself from the negativity. Since this transition in content, I have felt a lot better. Surrounding yourself with negativity doesn't do well in your mental health, and I have gotten comments saying I appear happier in my new videos, which is true, because I am.
I can totally understand how to Daft leaving commentary seems like the right decision, and if it is best for his mental health, I have no questions about it. I believe that it's a no-brainer that if you aren't enjoying making commentary videos and they're causing you anxiety or causing you to lash out, you shouldn't be making them, and that it's best for you if you make videos you actually want to make, and if he's having more fun with his current videos, then more power to him. I do think it is a shame though that he didn't take opportunities before leaving to try and mend his reputation. Like I said, I offered Daft an interview, and I believe the best possible thing he could have done is responded directly to criticisms that many people have towards him all at once, with me presenting him many concerns people actually had towards him and giving him the chance to address them head on instead of skirting around them or dodging the question. I believe it could have been a much beneficial decision for him to do the interview. But I mean, regardless, he's free to do whatever he wants. I do genuinely wish the best for him content-wise, even though I don't believe he's fully made up for some of the wrongs he's subjected people to.
I'd stopped making drama content for quite a bit, though it's not as if I can say I wasn't the same person, because I somewhat still am. It is not an overnight process to get better. It will take time. I'm glad to have expunged those who brought me down mentally, and I'm happy with who I talk with now. To have people supporting you does go a long way, and I'm just gonna do what I should have done a long time ago. Draw stuff and make these silly videos about cartoons. I also want to take a second to apologize to the people I made videos on in the past, those who I've wronged and hurt by doing so. As well as my fans, new, old, and the ones that left long ago. I'm sorry for everything. Currently, I'm trying to be the best that I can be, and I know it'll take a bit of time. My only wish is that you be a part of this journey with me. Thank you.
Honestly, at this point, there doesn't really feel like there's much more to say in regards to Daft Pina. He got in drama, he responded to it, his response didn't really satiate a lot of people's criticism towards him. He's now apologized for his other mistakes, but seems to stand by a lot of the LSMark decisions, and he's quitting commentary. So, from there I just struggle to find more reason to keep talking about him. Daft Pina has chosen a new path, I guess. It doesn't really seem to be doing too well for him right now, but I'm sure with time he'll probably find himself his own niche again. I don't hate the guy, I have no personal grudge against him for any decision he's made. I think he's made some bad videos, I've criticized him for those videos. I spoke to him in a call and laid out why I dislike the decisions he'd made, and he didn't really acknowledge or appreciate any criticism I gave him. Then blocking me when I made my video after we'd already previously tried to work out some sort of plan to do an interview, which just really tells me that the only goal he really had behind talking to me was to try and motivate me to not make my video about him, which is just disappointing. I really hope for more. I hoped I could give him an opportunity to speak his side. I gave him advice to make this apology video. When I spoke to him in the call, I said that he should make some sort of response, actually acknowledging all the criticism. I said it should have actually been a part of his video talking about the LSMark stuff. To start it, acknowledging that he'd done wrongdoing in the past, clearing up any kind of reason people would dislike him, or trying to at least, and then moving on in earnest to responding to the Mark situation, because I felt like it would help him a lot. Instead, he decided to do his own thing, and you know, he's within his right to. It just didn't really work out for him, did it? Anyway, I've been HarleyTBS, responding to a response video to a response video to a response. If you enjoyed it, or would like to see more videos like this one, or any of my others in the Daft Pina quadrilogy or whatever it is now, subscribe to the channel, check out my Patreon to support me financially. It's only $1 a month, and you can make these videos possible while getting benefits for yourself. Check out my social media in the description. I'm aiming for 10,000 followers on Twitter now. I would really appreciate a follow over there. We're at 8K right now. Special thank you to our sponsor, Aura, who sponsored this video and made it possible. And yeah, I guess I'll see you next time.